long corridor runway in my grandmother's house. The one that cuts through all the wooden floorboard bedrooms and made passage for the not-so-girl-like ambitions of mine. The Peter Pan picture book that my father bought me. The pomerac tree in the backyard to climb and scrape up skin and fall out and remount. Everything that prepared me for altitude. I stopped believing I could fly when I was 5 because my cousin said that I could not. I pushed her off the 5-foot-tall, rough stone-cut back step. She couldn't fly either. I ran inside the house crying. She got stitches. I got my first lesson in gravity. I asked my grandmother about flying. She said when people come back from the dead, they fly all the time. Said drug dealer Derek across the road boasts that he can. Said how the people that lived long before her grandmother used to be able to. She said the lady in the corner house does it at night to drink people's blood in their sleep. She said it's what people do when they want to leave their own country, like 2 of her children did. Granny said flying is only for unhappy people. I whispered to her that I don't think I'm unhappy and I always wanted to fly. She says, nothing wrong with flying. You just need to learn how to land right. This woman called Gang Sarah thought that she could fly too. Tobago slave and somebody's wife climbed a silk cotton tree one day and take off just so. I imagine spirit and body peeled back from each other in the middle of the humid forest air. The spirit fly to the water and swim back to Africa. The body crash on the ground and somebody find it the next day. If a woman's body falls in the forest and nobody hears it, does it mean that she couldn't fly? Fly away home to Zion, fly away home. When my work on this earth has ended, fly away home. The moon is a mood swing of a woman, falling pendulum across the sky in the manner of months. She is the absence of gravity. Ground controls nothing around her. We are an island. We do not run very far without drowning, make prayer beads from sand grains, salt our wounds on the beach. We are a family of wave and overwash and women. My grandmother knew only the light of heaven and the glowing halo of the moon. Had my grandmother, who knew only the light of picture lamps and the glowing halo of heaven. Her husband, a floating obsession with moonshine and white oak rum and weekend apparitions, she who raised 8 children single-handed and good Christian, always turned the other cheek to the night storms of his fists, even ran to get the gauze when his shameless knuckles bled. And my grandmother remembers how bandage and bondage are different but both do so well at hiding things. The moon is always the shading shadows across the pale blue of her face and hiding things. It is 1989. My Pisces of a mother considers the child in her boat of a belly, the forming tissue that nobody knows about yet. In the same year of Roe versus Wade, and scores of women marching in Washington to permit abortions. In the same year, they tear down the Berlin Wall. My mother is expecting a number of things to crumble when her water breaks. My father is a taxi driver and a few shades darker than her mother appreciates. More shadow, less light, too much eclipse. The moon is always trying to hide things. The blame and brown of daddy's skin reminds too much of blackouts and the rusting of hearts. The day I was born, the water cycle stops working. The island sinks into drought and the ocean does nothing to help us. My skin becomes a permanent patchwork of dry spots and scales, and when I am 4, my grandmother says the mole on my left ear means I will die by drowning. I have spent the last 4 years of my life loving a man with the Atlantic's worth of water pouring out of my eyes, 1 death for every month without him. The moon knows about dying and willing herself to rise and how the burn of the sun gives her glow. I am an island of a woman waiting for my tide to return because we who have loved, who have been called crazy for the way that we do, how the moon makes lunatics of our tribe, pulling every which way at the beach blue of our blood, we who are only as stable as the sea. We who choose to love, knowing we have the buoyancy of anchors, knowing that the moon will always take chances, even when she has to hide, die, and burn for it. So now you all are going to help me with the song, while Reno remembers that he's supposed to be running.